How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Chainsaw Man Chapter 149, Devil's Choice. Next one's the big 150, folks. I never thought I'd see the day. Chainsaw Man is one of the few popular manga that I've had the pleasure of jumping on the bandwagon of pretty early on. I started reading around like chapter 12 or 13, whichever chapter had power butt-ass naked on the front of it. I saw that on Twitter as a down bad high schooler, and I was like, shit, I guess I'll check this out. And well, here we are now, almost a whole fucking year after season 1 of the anime ended, and it's still in my top 5 favorite manga. But enough jibber jabber, let's get into this week's chapter. It begins with this preacher fellow who I like to imagine is Fujimoto's depiction of Kenneth Copeland.
COVID-19!
COVID-19!
He's riling up this crowd of scared civilians, talking about how this war between man and devils was prophesied by God, and they must destroy the Chainsaw Man Church and Chainsaw Man himself, as they'll begin to chant, "Burn Chainsaw Man! Woo! Football!" And we see that Denji, Fumiko, and Nayuta are watching this angry village mob form from an alleyway nearby, as Fumiko comments on how apocalyptic things have gotten so quickly. I mean, remember, up until probably like 2 hours ago, public safety thought this was just going to be another normal day of dealing with devil-obsessed lunatics, and now we're dealing with like a fucking SCP end-of-the-world scenario. Denji tells Fumiko that should things come to it, he can turn into Chainsaw Man, given how dire the situation they're in is. But she immediately shuts him down, saying that's quite possibly the worst decision you could make right now. Because if people see Denji as one of the chain zombies, or even worse, the real Chainsaw Man, it'll be a witch hunt to the ends of the earth to turn him into a nice charbroiled chainsaw burger. Fumiko tries to tell Denji and Nayuta not to worry since she'll be around to protect them, and Denji doesn't look happy about that in the slightest. And neither does Nayuta, as she tells Fumiko off, saying that Nayuta is all the protection that the two of them need. She says she could kill anything that comes after her and Denji, so Fumiko asks if that includes humans as well. And Nayuta's like, duh, did I stutter? If anything, humans would just be easier to deal with. Dumbass. And Fumiko just looks so fucking done here right now. Like pure just, I'm surrounded by insane people. She turns to Denji like, what have you been teaching this child? And Denji's just like, whatever's on educational TV. You know, educational channels like the History Channel or Food Network. And after thinking of the TV, Denji suddenly remembers that they have a shit ton of dogs and a cat back at the apartment. Nayuta commenting that they're all alone and probably hungry, and they both mutually agree that they need to get back home. However, Fumiko shuts down that idea, saying that there's almost a 100% chance that Denji's apartment is compromised, and the church members are without a doubt staking it out. Fujimoto, if you killed those beautiful, happy dogs after all this time, I will have some choice words and combat techniques to share with you. Denji and Nayuta don't budge, however, their minds set on going home and feeding the pets. That's when Fumiko blocks their path through the alleyway, saying she's not going to let them go and instead is going to have them housed at a public safety facility. There's brief tension in the air as everyone has a silent little stare down, before Nayuta hits Fumiko with the fucking heavy finger gun taunt, firing a chain at Fumiko that she's just barely able to duck under. This was in vain, however, as Nayuta was instead able to hit a woman in the window behind Fumiko, puppeteering her to grab Fumiko by the neck and start choking her. And it seems as though if things continued here, Fumiko would have been royally fucked. I mean, unless she pulled out a surprise devil contract or something. But lucky for her, she had Denji there, who begins tickling Nayuta in order to distract her, and seemingly that frees the woman from being under her control, who drops Fumiko to the ground. Denji yells at Fumiko to get away while he has Nayuta distracted, saying that if she stays behind right now, Nayuta is definitely going to kill her, but that they'll be able to look after themselves. Fumiko shoots Denji a hesitant look before shuffling off into the alleyway, disappearing as Denji breathes a sigh of relief. I really like this sequence because for the rest of the chapter, Denji has like this stoic, empty expression the entire time, giving the impression he's in like this semi-dissociative state as he's trying to cope and come to terms with everything that's going on around him right now. But when Fumiko's life is threatened, he flips on a dime and gets very emotional and worried for her sake. And I just think that's a really good character moment for him, caring about this person who up until this point he hasn't been particularly attached to, I guess. Nayuta seems to have calmed down now that Fumiko is left, telling Denji that they should go home now. Denji then asks Nayuta if she was really trying to kill Fumiko just then, and she pauses before going into a speech about how devils have the right to kill whoever and whatever they want, as it comes to them naturally the same way swimming does to a fish or photosynthesis does to a tree. She asks Denji if he feels anything similar, if hurting people makes him feel alive. And I think just from the look on Denji's face alone, we can see how uncomfortable this makes him, and how this behavior from Nayuta is really concerning him. Nayuta then asks Denji if he wants to side with her in joining the Devils. Denji isn't immediately against it, but she cuts him off in order to explain herself more. She talks about how human culture is fun, but the rigidity and structure is suffocating, saying that if she and Denji could rule the world as devils, they wouldn't have to worry about all the arbitrary societal rules, and instead be able to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And Denji's about to ask, like, well, what about my friends, before he remembers that all of his friends are already dead, and instead changes the question to be about Nayuta's friends from her school. However, she shows no attachment, saying that she could care less whether or not they die, showing that Denji is the only thing in her life that she truly allows to matter, and she views everything else in, I would say, a similar way to how Makima saw humanity, like they were no more than animals or pets to her, you know? However, after Nayuta says to Denji that at the end of the day, she's all that he needs, he pauses and remembers something, which Nayuta notices and asks if he just thought of Asa. He looks stunned, confirming she was right on the money, and she immediately starts going off like, what is your deal with that loser-ass bitch? You even risked your life the other day to save her. I just don't understand. Am I not enough for you? Is that it? So Denji tells Nayuta that he cares so much about Asa because of the kiss they had back in chapter 119. Nayuta seems offended by this, but Denji explains it's because while he's kissed other women before, something always went wrong and he was hurt by them. Like, say, his tongue getting bit off or getting a mouthful of baby bird food. You know, normal experiences that we've all had at one point in our lives. But his kiss with Asa was the first time nothing went wrong. Well, at least in terms of the girl he kisses not wronging him. I mean, Nayuta did come in and ruin the whole situation by blasting a chain through Asa's skull and turning her into a dog, but, you know, that's neither here nor there right now. Nayuta then pauses before asking Denji if he likes Asa. And after thinking for a moment, Denji replies that he does, but only about this much. And then Nayuta's like, and me? And he's like, which seems to be a perfect answer as Nayuta gets a big cheeky grin on her face and jumps on Denji, giving him a hug, giving her his word that she will not kill humans from here on, telling him to make his way to their apartment, which is also where this chapter comes to an end. Overall, this was a nice little transition chapter, I feel like. There weren't any, groundbreaking revelations or big action beats, but I do feel as though this was a very important part in Nayuta's development as a character. Had Denji given into her ideas even slightly, I feel like that could have easily led Nayuta down the path of just becoming actually Makima 2.0. But thankfully, Denji, our sweet, wholesome, he just like me for real main man, is still very in touch with his human heart, and isn't willing to let Nayuta's devilish nature challenge him in even the slightest. This chapter also, of course, reinforces the importance of Asa and Denji's growing relationship, and how the story is building towards the inevitable climax of, well, probably the two of them climaxing. Sorry, stupid joke, it was just too obvious not to. I'm really curious as to what Fumiko's role going forward is going to be. I mean, since Yoshida also dipped from his responsibility dealing with Asa last chapter, I feel like it makes sense for the two of them to meet up. So it wouldn't surprise me if the next time we see either of them, it's with each other. As for going on from here, God, I just hope the dogs in Meowie are safe, man. Considering there's almost a 100% chance we'll end up having to deal with church members on the way or at Denji's apartment, I personally would really love to finally see a brawl between Denji and Barum, going all out in their full hybrid forms, as I feel like that's something that's also been set up just with how directly antagonistic Barum has been with Denji the whole time. But that's all I really have to talk about this chapter. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen with the journey to Denji and Nayuta's apartment? When do you think they and Asa are going to meet up again? What's Fumiko going to do in the story going forward? And Fujimoto, where is Raising? Please hit that like button if you're still around and subscribe for more wholesome family therapy sessions. I'll see you next time. I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.